everyone, and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be doing a first impression, and guess what? It's on a foundation. I mean, it makes sense since I am literally only wearing eyeshadow on my face, but we are going to be testing out a foundation today, and it is from Boots No7, and this is the Stay Perfect foundation. And this foundation has a lot of claims that sound really awesome to me, so I wanted to pick it up and try it for myself. Now this retails for $15.99, and you can find this at Target, Walgreens, and Ulta. I am in the shade Calico, which actually isn't sold at Ulta, so I actually bought this at Walgreens, and I don't know if they would have this shade at Target, but I know they have this shade at Walgreens because that's where I picked mine up, and Calico is the lightest shade, so that's why it is probably going to be really hard to find. Now, speaking of foundation range, this foundation has 17 colors to choose from. They do have a really good variety of different shades, and also if you go into any of the stores that they sell it in, they have a little card that you can either do it in the store or take it home with you, and through an iPhone app you can match it up to your specific skin tone you have. And I actually found that was really helpful. That's how I picked out my shade Calico and realized that they didn't have this shade at Sephora, which is such a bummer. Not Sephora, Ulta. I wish Ulta had all of the shades in this range. They oddly have the shade Calico in the Airbrush Away foundation, which is another foundation I do want to try, but they didn't in this one, and they also don't have the Beautifully Matte formula at Ulta either, which is another foundation I want to try out. So this foundation claims to be a foundation for all skin tones. It's medium coverage, and you can wear it for up to 17 hours of wear. So that's why it's called the Stay Perfect foundation, because it's supposed to literally stay perfect all day long. And it's also supposed to be weatherproof, which I don't know exactly what that means, I guess when it's raining outside or something. So it's supposed to be weatherproof and transfer proof. Now if it's transfer proof, that would be pretty darn amazing, because I hate it when foundations get on my clothes, especially with like an outfit that I'm wearing today. I don't want my foundation getting on my clothes. So that's a really nice claim. And it also says on the back here, it's a comfortable foundation that feels lightweight and breathable and gives an even-toned, smooth complexion. And then it also says that it won't cake up or create flakes on dry skin, and it won't slip and slide on oily skin. So this foundation is really supposed to be for all skin types. Now the best part about this foundation, at least in my opinion, is the packaging. It's really, really nice packaging. This is a frosted glass bottle. And then the best part, it has a pump, a drugstore foundation that has a pump. Now granted, $16 for a drugstore foundation is getting up there, but I feel like, at least for me, you know, foundations are definitely worth the money because they kind of go with your skin tone and match your skin tone. So I feel like for foundation and base products, it is worth it to splurge a little bit. But I do feel like there are some drugstore foundations that do work really well, at least for me. So I'm really excited to try this out. I definitely feel like No7 is kind of on the rise, especially their foundations. All of their foundations I've heard really great things about, and all sound really amazing. All right, so we're just going to get right into applying this foundation. I thought for the application part, I would zoom in a little bit. So it says here that it is best to apply it with your fingers or a sponge. Now, I personally don't like applying most makeup products, especially foundation, with my fingers, so I'm going to be testing out using two different tools. I'm going to be using a damp beauty blender, and then also one of my favorite foundation brushes ever. This is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Now, it says not to use a brush, but this is what I use all the time. I honestly need a new one because all of the hairs are coming out, but I love this brush so much, and I also love the beauty blender as well. Also, if you see me looking down, I will have this mirror. This is the Sephora and Mini collection mirror, so if you see me look down or anything, or if this is in the way, I am so sorry, but if you see me look down, this is what I am using because I don't have a mirror or anything. Alright, so I'm going to be applying this foundation on this side of my face with the beauty blender and this side with the Expert Face Brush. I do not have any primers on my face at all, so this will be a true test of the foundation's wear. Alright, so this is what the foundation looks like. It's not too thick and it's not too thin, which looks really nice. Now I'll probably need more foundation, but I'm just going to apply this to my face for right now and we'll just see. Ooh, this is definitely a good shade match for me, for sure. Alright, I'm definitely going to go in for a little bit more. Alright, so this is one pretty thin layer of foundation on this side, and this is compared to my side with no foundation on it. Okay, so I definitely think it covers pretty well. It's definitely not full coverage by any means. It's definitely kind of a light medium coverage, at least for me. For most people, this would probably be a pretty light coverage foundation, but honestly, I don't like super duper thick foundations unless it looks natural on my face. But so far, I mean, I really like the way it looks on my face. It looks natural. Yeah, it's covering some of the redness, like compared to this side. And I really like the texture of it on my skin. It doesn't feel sticky at all. It just feels really nice and refreshing. It's probably a little bit due to my damp beauty blender, but I do really like it. I think I'm going to apply just a little bit more in some places, but other than that, I think it looks really good. All right, so I applied another thin second layer on this side off camera, and I really do like it. I definitely feel like it's buildable. So if you need more coverage, you can build it up, but it is it's pretty thin layers. With each layer, it's not a ton of coverage. Like when I applied the second layer, it still looked natural to me, but I really, really like that. So far, really liking the way this looks on my face. It looks natural, and I really like the way it feels. So now we are going to use my expert face brush on this side. So this is what one full pump looks like. It's the same as last time, but I just thought I would let you know that that is one full pump of this foundation. So I'm definitely noticing that with the brush, I feel like with the same amount of product, it's covering less on this side of my face than the Beauty Blender did with this. I feel like with one pump of it on my Beauty Blender, it covered more on my face, where I feel like this is just kind of thinning it out a little bit more. So I feel like I need more foundation, which is odd because I feel like it's sort of the opposite. Like I feel like the brush usually does more coverage, but like I haven't even applied to like down here yet. It's mostly just been this cheek area and a tiny bit on my forehead. So I am definitely going to be going in with a little bit more foundation. All right, so on this side is one fairly thin layer using the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Now keep in mind it did take 2 pumps to do that. And then on this side, it's 2 pretty thin layers using the Beauty Blender. Alright, so far I feel like I am liking the Beauty Blender better. I definitely feel like it covered my redness in this area a little bit better with the Beauty Blender. It's definitely not a bad brush to apply it with. I definitely feel like it feels the same. I just feel like it gives a little less coverage, oddly enough, in my opinion. But I am going to go ahead and apply a second layer off camera and in a bigger mirror just to see, you know, the true effect and what they both really look like. All right, so looking in the mirror, I definitely like the Beauty Blender side a lot better, not only coverage-wise, but I feel like with the brush side, it shows the strokes a little bit more, and also I feel like my pores are a lot more emphasized. I don't know if you can see it at all, if I'm in like a good angle at all, but I just feel like my pores are a little bit more emphasized on the brush side than they are on the Beauty Blender side. So I definitely don't like that at all. I definitely, so far from far away, like how it looks. It is getting a little bit cakey, which makes me upset. Not really cakey, but just it's getting into those pores and like fine lines and stuff like that. But I feel like once it dries down and I apply the rest of my makeup, it will look just fine. So I am going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to apply the rest of my makeup and I will meet you back right here. All right, so I am back and I finished all the rest of my makeup, and for the most part, my initial thoughts still stand on this foundation. I definitely do feel like the Beauty Blender side looks a lot better than the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush side. I definitely feel like my pores and any, you know, small wrinkles, like I have this mouth line right here that really stands out on this side more than this side. So really the test of where we'll see how this foundation wears is in the center of my face, because I do have a lot of cheek products going on. I do have kind of oily combo skin, and also I feel like on the rest of my face the foundation really looks great. It's just the areas where I have pores and a little bit of acne is where it doesn't look the best. But we'll see how it goes on throughout the day. I did powder my face, but I powdered my face with the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in, I think, light neutral. It's not the lightest shade, but the second lightest shade. And what's nice about that powder, it's not super mattifying, it's not super glowy, it's a very natural powder. So even though I set my face with the powder, it's not going to affect it. It's not mattifying, it's not going to really change it because it is a more natural finish powder. So I did do that, but no primer of any sort. Now, if you did have like a pore minimizing primer, I definitely think that would help a little bit with this foundation. Those are just some of my thoughts. I think it looks great other than in the areas in my pores, basically. So anyways, I'm going to be getting on with my day. I'm going to be doing some Instagram posts on this look. I really love this look, by the way. I'm using the Carly Bible BH Cosmetics palette on my eyes from one of her own tutorials, and the NARS Velvet Lip Glide in Bound on my lips. I really, really like it. I'm probably going to film another video, and then I also have work later tonight. So at the very last update, the lighting and the quality will not be as good because it will be darker outside. And I just feel like with that, the quality gets not as good, but I'm going to do it for you guys. If there's anything I want to mention throughout the day, if anything changes, if I want to blot my face, I will do an update during that time. Oh, and by the way, the time is currently 2:39 or 2:40-ish, so I won't be wearing it for like as long as it claims, but we'll still get, you know, a good test to see of how long it wears, because I will be having a long day today. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next update. Hello everyone, so I am doing another update. It is around 4 o'clock, and I'm just noticing that, I don't know if you can tell, but underneath my eyes, it's really creasing pretty bad. And the only thing I put under there was my Bare Minerals Well Rested concealer powder, and I feel like it doesn't like crease as much with other products I've used. I mean, it's easily fixable, but it's just a couple hours in, and I've been noticing that a little bit. I feel like it's not as noticeable on camera, but I've noticed it in the mirror. Now, the only thing is I'm noticing is it's getting a little bit shiny on my nose. My pores are showing up a little bit more on both sides now. My laugh lines along here are becoming a little bit more prominent. I'm going to like blot my under eyes because I feel like if you just take a couple Q-tips, it will make the wrinkles underneath your eyes look a little bit less noticeable. So that's just what I'm noticing so far. A couple hours in, I might do another update like a little bit before 5 o'clock. I work from 5 to 9 p.m. So I probably will do a little bit of a check-in before I go to work if I can. Anyways, that's just what I've noticed so far at this point. Hello everyone. So this is before I'm going into work, and I think I'm going to blot my face a little bit because nothing much has really changed since the last update, but it's just more emphasis on the pores and my lines and stuff like that. And I don't like the way it looks, so I'm just going to blot my face real fast. Okay, so there's not like too much showing up on the piece of paper. One thing I did notice is that on my chin, there's a little bit of redness from some acne I have showing, and also the very tip of my nose is pretty oily. So I've been noticing on my nose and my chin that the foundation's fading a little bit faster and getting a little bit oilier a little bit faster, because that is where I get a little bit oily, and that's also where a lot of like my pores and acne are. I just wanted to blot my face real fast before I go into work because I feel like it is looking cakey because it's sinking into the pores and redness is showing through and stuff like that. So anyways, that's my update before I go into work. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do an update until later tonight, and that will probably be my final update. But anyways, wanted to do this update real fast. See you guys later. Alright, so it is about 10 till 11 p.m. here, and I am definitely done, ready to take this foundation off. So far, at least from my first impression, I'm not really loving it. I'm in a different setting, by the way, because it's really dark outside, so I thought I would try this angle. Let me know what you guys think. I probably can't do it all the time, but I'm kind of liking it because I actually have an actual chair. But anyways, so far, it's looking more cakey to me, and not in a sense that, like, it makes dry patches look dry, but it's sinking deeper into my pores. My smile lines, they're digging a little bit deeper. I will still say, though, that the Beauty Blender side, it's not showing my smile line here as much as this side, so that's quite interesting. Let me turn off this light because that's probably bad. So if the lighting was really screwed up, that's probably why, because this mirror I have has a light on it. But I feel like even my forehead doesn't have a ton of wrinkles, but I can just tell it's sort of settling there, and I think it's just because I'm a little bit oily there, so it doesn't look terrible on my forehead, but it's just a little bit oily. My nose is looking a little bit oily, but it's just around the crevices of the nose, it's just where it's looking real bad. It's where like all the foundation is caked up like on my nose. It's all around the sides of my nose. That is where it looks the absolute worst on my face with this foundation. And to be quite honest, a lot of concealers and foundations look really bad there on me. So it's really not that out of the ordinary, but it just is really, really emphasized with this foundation. Now on the bright side, it's still on my face, and my face isn't terribly oily, and all of my blush and contour, well, I didn't really do a contour, bronzer, it's all still on there. At least my blush and bronzer are still on there. I don't know. I mean, I can kind of tell my highlight's still on there. So like, it really does last a long time. So that claim, I would say, is pretty accurate because it kept all the rest of my makeup on. Also, I've noticed it's kind of caking a little bit around my mouth, my upper lip here. So that's not looking cute either. And then, like I said, I feel like there's a little bit of more redness here. My nose is just a little bit more oily, and it's gotten a little bit more cakey around my eyes. Also, one of the claims here is it says it's lightweight and breathable. I will give it that when I first apply it, but now that it's been a few hours, it definitely, I can feel something. It's not super heavy, but I definitely feel something there. I don't know, this foundation is weird with coverage. I definitely agree that it's a medium coverage. I put 2 layers on both sides, or like 2 really thin layers on both sides of my face, and I feel like that was a little bit too much. I feel like for me personally, when I put just one good, you know, semi-thin layer, that seemed to work a little bit better than doing the 2 layers that I did. Just for me personally, I just felt like I put a little bit too much foundation than I needed to, where I really feel like you don't need to apply a lot. Now I will say, this pump does not dispense a lot. Well, I guess it depends, because for me, when I dispensed 1 pump of this in the Beauty Blender, it spread a little bit easier and applied to more of this side of my face, where when I did 1 pump of this on my brush, it literally only did like the tops of my cheeks and a little bit of my forehead, where like with the Beauty Blender, it did most of this side of my face. It's so funny because I feel like with most foundations I try, I don't see too much a difference between my brush and the Beauty Blender, but with this one, I definitely feel like I do. It's not drastic, but the little differences I definitely notice. Also, another reason I feel like it might be a little bit heavy on me is maybe because of the sunscreen. So that might be a possible reason too, because I feel like I tend to notice that with foundations that have sunscreen in it, that's more of an actual foundation, it does tend to feel a little bit heavier, in my opinion. It's not terribly heavy. Like, I've definitely tried heavier coverage foundations, but it definitely does feel heavy after long hours. So overall, with my first impression of this foundation, to be quite honest, I'm not in love with it, which is really upsetting because I kind of had high hopes for this foundation, considering that so many people have talked about No7 foundations in general lately, I feel like, or I've just been watching a lot of reviews on them. I don't know. I watch Jam Beauty 89, and I feel like she talks a lot about the No7 foundation range in general. She likes a lot of their different foundations, and I'm pretty sure this was one of them, but she also has a way different skin type than me, so that's part of the issue too. But I don't want this to be my last try of it. I don't hate it at all. I definitely want to try it a little bit more to see if I really like it or not. This shade was actually really nice. It's maybe a little bit darker, but I thought this was a really good shade match. Now it also says here on the bottom, not only your shade, but also the date it expires. So that's also really, really super handy, because I feel like, I mean, I'm pretty good and on top of it with foundations, using them before they expire, but if you're that person who has a ton of foundations and, you know, doesn't really pay attention to that, that's really awesome, especially since it has SPF in it too. That's really important. So again, from a first impression standpoint, I'm not in love with this foundation. I want to keep trying it to see if I can make it work. I definitely think it would work better with a pore perfecting primer or some sort of primer. I think that would really help it make it at least look a little bit better, because it does last a long time. The claim of a Stay Perfect is definitely there. It just doesn't look as nice. Now, I've definitely seen foundations look worse on me, but it's just not my favorite, and it looks like I'm wearing foundation, at least in my opinion, at least in real life. Maybe on camera it looks freaking amazing, because I feel like sometimes There are foundations that look terrible on me in real life, but on camera they look pretty darn amazing. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this first impression video and that you got a lot of useful information out of it. If you did, go ahead and click that like button down below. I also have an Instagram and a Twitter, so go follow me on those social medias. I will have the links for those down below. And also, if you'd like to subscribe to me and see more first impression videos and a ton of other videos I do are decluttering videos, I'm doing project panning videos, hauls, all of those. If you'd like to see more of those, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. Or I'll also have my face here right at this end screen right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Bye everyone.